Hi, so welcome to my long-awaited, sorry it took so long, Microsoft comparisons video for as of April 2021. So let's just get started. So starting globally, of course, the Xbox Series sales equaled 442,705 units sold and was the third best-selling console this month behind the PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch. The Xbox One sold 83,210 units sold, which is an 82.9% decrease year on year, which is mostly due to the launch of the Xbox Series, but also due to the smaller, raised effect that COVID-19 has been bringing, particularly back a year ago. The highlights and software this month are MLB The Show 21 debuted with 500,000 units for the Xbox Series, and 280,000 units for the Xbox One, with the Xbox Series version being the highest selling version of the game across all platforms. This was the highest selling game for both the Xbox Series and Xbox One in this month. Outriders debuted with 150,000 units sold for the Xbox Series and 100,000 units for the Xbox One, and was the second best-selling game of this month for both consoles. Near Replicant version 1.224.744.87139 debuted with 150,000 units for Xbox One, and was the third highest selling new release for Xbox consoles. So yeah, let's head over to the comparisons to see how Xbox Series and Xbox One are doing against other consoles. So first up we have, of course, the Xbox Series versus its predecessor, the Xbox One. So, the launch aligned with the Xbox One launching in November 2013. Gap change in the last month has grown in favor of the Xbox Series by about 250,000 units. Currently, the Xbox Series leads by about 560,000 units, so that's pretty impressive. My opinion, I think the Xbox Series will outsell the Xbox One based off where its current trajectory is, knowing that the Xbox One's first year didn't really going on from its first year, full year to its second year, didn't really rise that much, and it didn't really it peaked. It didn't really have a prominent peak like it did, it wasn't like the Wii where it peaked. It had a very obvious peak. Xbox One kind of had this 2017 peak, but it didn't really peak by that much. So, this is compared the Xbox Series to Microsoft's best-selling console, the Xbox 360. Despite the Xbox 360's launch, the Xbox 360 did manage to close the gap by about 40,000 units, but the Xbox Series still leads by 1.9 million units. This is probably going to be one of the most interesting global comparisons because we'll just see how much the Xbox Series grows and shoots up and sells. 2007 wasn't too much of a rise, but 2008 was where it just really took a high rise for 11 million units sold. 2009 it dropped, then 2010 it rose with the Xbox Series S launch and also Kinect launch. So yeah, it's very interesting to see whether it'll outsell. I think it's a little bit uncertain. With where it's going right now and where its competition's going, I don't think the Xbox Series is gonna cap out like the Xbox. Did not really rise that much after the Xbox One did if it I'm estimating maybe about with the Xbox One's all about 6-7 ish million units sold in its first full year. Xbox Series I'm gonna estimate maybe about 8 or 9 million. So I'm gonna estimate maybe peak around about. I think it's gonna have a peak right about the Xbox 360's height. But where it's gonna be tested is longevity. How long can it outlive the Xbox 360? So comparing the Xbox Series to one of the other ninth generation consoles, the Nintendo Switch. In the last month, the Nintendo Switch has grown its lead by almost 200,000 units. Currently, Nintendo Switch leads by about 675,000 units. So, with this comparison, I don't think it's got. I think it'll last for fun to look at and fun to and be comparable for about 2 years, 2019. But by the time the Switch Lite comes out, that's gonna be where it's just it's gonna be a thrashing. We can even see now the Xbox Series. I'm impressed that the Xbox Series is keeping up with the Switch, but I don't think it's gonna be able to continue to keep up. Like I could see it keeping up with next year because the Nintendo Switch didn't really increase that much year on year in 2018, and even most of 2019 I think it'll keep up as well, as it only really rises by like 3 million units from 16 million to 19 million. With 2017 to 2018 mostly being the significant holiday increase from like 7 to 9 million, actually just under 10 million. But like yeah, not much of the like non-holiday sales rised in 2018. So yeah, the Xbox Series should be competitive until the Switch Lite launch. Comparing the PlayStation 5, Sony's console to the Microsoft's current console, PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series. So in the last month, the PlayStation 5 grew by its lead by about 445,000 units, and currently the PlayStation 5 leads by about 3 million units. So I think PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series is like I think the PlayStation 5 will win, but like what I'm wondering, so it's pretty obvious Sony will probably beat Microsoft this gen, but question is by how much? I with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it was like a bloodbath. Like the PlayStation 4 like beat the Xbox One by more than 2-1, and but then on the other hand, the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, it was a close battle, and it was like PlayStation 3 like only won out after next gen launch. So, I think it could be somewhere in between. Like I don't think the Xbox Series will be like very like extremely close like the Xbox 360 was to the PlayStation 3, but again I don't think it's the PlayStation 5 is going to beat it more than 2-1. Like yes, it is looking like it's currently might. But keep in mind, we could. I'm seeing. I this is. I think the, based off where it is going in the developing countries, such as like the sales like in India, like and it's also in Europe countries it's starting to improve, as well. Like I could like UK and UK is already good, but like it's improving like Germany, France, like Italy, like it's starting to improve sales. Like it's like I could see it's like I could see it having more longevity because of the sales like in those developing countries, which is lacking in the PlayStation 5. Like for example, like in country reports, if you look at them, the Xbox Series has been consistently outside the PlayStation 5 there. And India is a potential market. It has a gigantic population, and it's yeah, if Xbox Series cracks Indian market like a Nintendo cracked China, then we could see it being a worthy competitor to try like climb the rank, like how the PlayStation 3 did the Xbox 360. Like it could be the Xbox 3 series trying to climb back up in the late game with the PlayStation 5. So yeah, this is it. Even though it looks like it's over, I think it's only just begun. Next one, Xbox Series versus PlayStation 3. My I estimate the Xbox Series to sell around about the PlayStation 3 to Xbox 360 height, which is why I'm comparing it to the PlayStation 3 as well. So month 5, the PlayStation 3 launched in Europe, which is why it had a big spike. But going to April, so PlayStation 3 is in April 2007. So like yeah, so it's like the month after its Europe launch. So in the last month, the Xbox Series has grown its lead by 66,000 units, and it currently leads by almost 1.6 million units. So, interesting. So like the PlayStation 3 had a 1 year shorter lifespan than the Xbox 360 did, and it like Xbox 360 rose in 2008, but it was released a year after the Xbox 360. So well, I think the Xbox Series will be able to beat the PlayStation 3 out this year by a comfortable margin, now that the Europe launch is out of the way. But whether it will beat 2008 I think it will beat. Based on where it's going for 2021, I think it can top 2022 as well, because the PlayStation 3 really lacked in the holiday for 2008. It didn't really sell that much. Well, yeah, so yeah, I mean 2009 but the question is, can I compete from 2009 onwards? So if you guys don't know, the 2009 was when the PlayStation 3 Slim launched. It helped in September 2009, so it helped pick up PlayStation 3 sales, and and it was also around about the time where it started to like put up a big fight with the Wii and DS for first place. So yeah, let's move on. The Xbox Series, this one I think will be an interesting comparison throughout top as time goes on. So, if so far it looks like it's like a boring like Xbox Series is like just thrashing the Game Boy, but keep in mind the Game Boy sold 118 million units. It dragged itself up there by longevity. I wanted to see how like a perfect longevity example compared to the Xbox Series. Like with the PlayStation 5, I think it'd be just boring. Like I'm comparing the PlayStation 4 to the Game Boy because that's like one of the only suitable comparisons. Like like it's like currently thrashing the Game Boy by about 65 million, so I don't think it's worthy like for now to compare the PlayStation 5 to the Game Boy. But it is worthy for the slower selling console to sell and also what I think will be the longer longevity console to compare the Xbox Series to the Game Boy. So yeah, so the Game Boy had its USA launch recently in month 5, and it's close to its first holiday season. It launched in April 1989. So it is currently in September 1989. So 2 more months until November, so it's gonna be, yeah, so personally I think it will stay ahead for Xbox Series for quite a while, but I think particularly after the Game Boy Pocket launches, like with the PlayStation 4, which like launched recently in line to PlayStation 4, it was like that was when it like started consistently like overtaking the PlayStation 4 dolls like that. But I think because it's an Xbox Series and it probably won't peak as high as the PlayStation 4 did. I think it could overtake the Game Boy could overtake it like before that, like in the monthly sales. So yeah. Let's move on. So sorry for it. It looks a little clunky. I just wanted to speed things up because this is gonna be a one-off comparison because it's already past it. But I just decided to do it just for this one, just to show you how the Xbox One fared against the SNES. So yeah, the SNES, this is not its full life cycle. This is just up to your 8 month full. So I can extend it further if I wanted to. So I'm just gonna give a quick overview. So the Xbox One got to an early lead because of the SNES's staggered launch. Like it launched in November 1990 in Japan, then August, towards the end of 1991 for USA, then 1992, and kind of like splits for Europe. So so yeah, with that, yeah, the SNES started to catch up after it launched, like started to launch globally. It overtook the Xbox One going into 1993, 1994, kept ahead it, but with the PlayStation launch, it like dropped sales. 1995, it kept up because it was, yeah, yes, it was still number one on the market, but yeah, the Xbox One was also starting to go into peak. It actually passed its peak 2018 versus 1995. So Xbox One's past its peak, SNES has passed its peak. Yeah, but the main thing that the groundbreaker for the Xbox One was its holiday seasons, because the SNES just based on my estimates that like it didn't really have too. Its holiday seasons were decent, but the Xbox One just holiday seasons were overwhelming. And that's how it caught up. But going to 1996 when the PlayStation overtook the SNES and the Nintendo 64 successor release, it was pretty much the same sales until the holiday season. There is an exception now because now that its next gen counterparts have launched, Xbox One just stopped selling in the holiday season. But looking at this, yes, they have the SNES. It's the reason why I continue to sell in the holiday seasons during 1997, 1998 because it had first okay because it kept selling in the USA. And if you and as we know, the USA is like a very popular country, particularly for game sales, and particularly in the holiday seasons. So going to details, in the last month, the Xbox One has increased its lead by 43,000 units. In the last year, the Xbox One's grown by 460,000 units. Currently, the Xbox One leads by about 2.5 million. Actually, no, almost 2.6 million. Okay, going on to the USA, just summary. So the Xbox Series sold 224,381 units sold in the USA, and was the third best-selling console this month. Xbox One sales equaled 48,982 units sold, which is an 83.7% decrease year on year. Highlights in software this month are Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which held first place despite a major USA annual series launching this month, which launched this month. So this was the top game for Xbox platform this month in USA, according to the MPD. MLB The Show 21. So this was a shock to me. I didn't expect Call of Duty to outsell it in USA. But yeah, that was a surprise. So MLB The Show 21 took second place this month. It was the highest selling new release on Xbox platforms in April 2021. It Takes Two takes a significant leap from 8th to 3rd place from March to April 2021 for Xbox platforms. Moving on to some comparisons, we have the Xbox Series versus its predecessor, the Xbox One. So where the Xbox One shone was the USA. It just it sold very well there. So it's gotta be it's unlike globally. It's gotta be a much tougher battle for the Xbox Series to take lead in the USA. Particularly now that it's focusing on more developing countries and Japan. It's now Microsoft announced it was focusing on. But still, Microsoft's sales continue to impress. In the last month, the Xbox Series grew caught up by 100,000 units. But still, the Xbox One leads by 227,000 units. Moving to the Xbox Series versus the Xbox 360, which is actually the third best-selling console of all time in the USA. The Xbox 360 had a slow start, but still the Xbox 360 closed on the Xbox Series by about just under 25,000 units. Currently, the Xbox Series leads by just over 1 million units sold. So this is going to be an interesting comparison, particularly during the holiday season, because we'll see how impressive the Xbox Series holiday seasons will be, because we know the Xbox 360, once it did fire up, it was very impressive its holiday seasons. Same with the Xbox One, its holiday seasons were very competitive with the PlayStation 4's holiday seasons in the USA. So let's see if the Xbox Series can impress. Compared the Xbox Series to Nintendo Switch, it did get that little bump from month 2 because it was in December. But other than that, they've been selling around about the same. The Xbox Series hasn't really grown too much, and the Nintendo Switch hasn't really caught up by that much. Hasn't really caught up at all. It's very close. I do whether it will outsell the Switch. That's gonna be another question. Because it's gonna have to keep up with it once it does fire up in 2020. It's already doing pretty good, unlike the Xbox 360's launch. So yeah. So we'll see we'll see what it gets interesting in 2020 and 2019. So my prediction is the Nintendo Switch will take lead holiday season. Xbox Series will probably have a better holiday season due to it, I don't know, Microsoft consoles and their holiday seasons, and they also have big releases this holiday season based off what's been announced: Halo, Forza Horizon, etc. More probably coming soon announced. So so 2018, so far it looks like in the near future it'll probably get overtaken by the Switch during the holiday season as expected, but yeah, it will retake lead after. Now comparing it to the PlayStation 5 in USA, in the last month, the PlayStation 5 has grown its lead by 120,000 units. But currently the PlayStation 5 leads by about 850,000 units. So I'm not sure if it will be able to overtake it in the holiday season, but we know with the Xbox One that it is possible. the Xbox One was like kind of like lagging behind the PlayStation 4 during its first year of release. It was pretty far behind, but then it just shot up in the holiday season. November and December, it like nearly double. It was like it nearly doubled the PlayStation 4's holiday sales in November, December. So yeah, so that was like we can these consoles really show that they're like they can sell on the holidays. Whether allowed to sell which, I think the Xbox Series can outsell the PlayStation 5, but it will be a tricky battle. The reason why I do say there's potential for the Xbox Series is once again longevity. If Xbox Series, I don't think the PlayStation 5 will be able to pull off longevity like the Xbox Series, due to its budget consoles and also it being like accessible, it's more accessible, it's cheaper, and it has budget consoles, which can really help. It'll probably be able to last probably be able to have a price cut after the PlayStation 5 has a price cut. So yeah, so that'll be interesting. Going to Europe, so the Xbox Series sales equaled 216 units sold, and it managed to creep into the top 3 best-selling consoles, barely eclipsing the PlayStation 4. So it's going back into the Xbox One era. Globally, the Xbox One got it had trouble in 2014, particularly the first half, competing with the PlayStation 3. Even globally, it was like the PlayStation 3 was ahead. It wasn't until September where the Xbox One got some boosts, and then came the holiday season, and then it never looked back. With this, it's a little bit different. The Xbox One took ages to get ahead the PlayStation 3 in Europe, but here it seems to be a little bit more Microsoft's favor. The Xbox Series had no trouble with the PlayStation 4 globally. It kept ahead globally, but in Europe initially it wasn't really that far behind, and now it's gotten ahead. So that's nice. So the Xbox One sold 19,542 units, which is a 77.7% decrease year on year. Highlights in software this month are FIFA 2021, which was a potential seller that ranked highly throughout April 2021. Note that most of these country charts that I get my results from combine their console sales, so keep in mind even if you look at the country charts without the combined console sales, you'll notice that because Microsoft isn't Sony overshadows Microsoft in Europe, in particular, most Europe countries, maybe excluding UK, Sony will overshadow Microsoft. Then Microsoft isn't really it doesn't really get into top 10s in Europe that much. So we're just gonna be basing this off estimates so near replicant version 1.224.744.87 139 topped the charts at launch in several European countries, but it's likely that most of these sales could have been off the PlayStation 4. But I am going to give some credit to the Xbox One version because it's still unconfirmed how much below the Xbox One version was below the PlayStation 4 version. So yeah. Assassin's Creed Valhalla actually sold highly overall this month, with limited individual Microsoft sales data given due to most of the sales coming from Sony's and Nintendo's. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Assassin's Creed Valhalla isn't on Nintendo. That was my fault. Sorry. I should just ignore Nintendo. It's just Sony, Microsoft for Assassin's Creed for this game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Moving on to some comparisons, we have the Xbox Series versus Xbox One, which is actually getting much higher reception in Europe than than the Xbox One. So that's the reason why it's staying ahead globally. So this is I'm very impressed with the Xbox Series. It's doing well and it's doing really good in Europe. And I really think that S model really helped with throughout Europe because it's a cheaper price point. It can compete with the Switch's price and with more power, and it can also beat the PlayStation 5 on price, and it's also going to be the console that's available. So yeah, good job Microsoft. That was a good decision to make an Xbox Series S. In the last month, the Xbox Series beat the Xbox One by about 55,000 units. Currently, the Xbox Series leads by almost 250,000 units. Comparing the Switch to the Xbox Series, it's been a close battle, with the Switch recently taking lead and in the last month continued to grow its lead by almost 30,000 units. Currently, the Switch leads by just under 120,000 units. So I don't think the Xbox Series will outsell the Nintendo Switch in Europe due to its peaking. And it seems like the Switch is gonna have longevity as well. So yeah, the Xbox Series could have longevity like the Switch, but whether it could peak this with the Switch height, like even Europe, like even though Europe is not one of the Switch's strong countries, it still is very strong compared to other Nintendo consoles, excluding maybe the Nintendo DS. The Nintendo DS is just like Nintendo DS was one of those consoles that just made an exception for Europe and just like sold well. Even though it was like everyone thought that Europe was Nintendo's weak spots, it's DS defied expectations in Europe. Okay, this comparison compares the Xbox Series to the Xbox 360 in Europe. So, the Xbox 360 also had pretty good reception in Europe, and it actually, despite being like not really peaking, getting really big peaks yet, like it is actually ahead of the Xbox One launch aligned. But so in the last month, the Xbox Series actually grew its lead by almost 25,000 units. But the Xbox Series doesn't really have much of a lead right now over the Xbox 360, and it's gonna be a tough battle for it once it does start showing sales in 2008 onwards. Currently the Xbox Series leads by about 270,000 units. Moving on to some Japan comparisons. This is also based on estimates because Japan. Okay, so I'm just gonna be honest here. There was no Microsoft title like Xbox Series nor Xbox One that charted in the top 30 Japanese games games in Japan for April, like the whole of April. Like even though it's recorded weekly, there was no Microsoft game like that charted, and it's like console sales reflected as well. So in April 2021, the Xbox Series equaled 1,959 units sold in April 2021, and was the fifth best-selling console this month, behind the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo 3DS. Yes, so guys, I can't believe it as well. Like, a discontinued console is outselling Microsoft's current gen console. So yes, that's a pretty good achievement for the 3DS. So the Xbox One sales equaled 54 units, which is an 85.2% decrease year on year. There was yes, like I said before, there was no notable Xbox software that charted in the top 30 of the Mitsu's charts, but the best sellers are estimated for this month based on multi-platform games such as Near Replicant version 1.22474487139 on the Xbox One, which actually sold very well on the PlayStation 4 version with over 100,000, which based off the top of my head, it had over 100,000 unit launch in Japan. Outrise on the Xbox One and Xbox Series, I think probably would have sold like pretty high on the Xbox ranks, and because Microsoft is like kind of like a European more of a USA like sales thing. I estimate, I guess, like Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War probably would have ranked up as well in the top 3. Like, because there's like no Microsoft exclusives and a lot of the multi-platform games in Japan not really being on Microsoft. It's mainly about Sony and Nintendo. So yeah, not too much to say about Japan. So this one is just comparing the Nintendo Switch to the PlayStation 5 to the Xbox Series in Japan. I'm gonna scroll down to the Nintendo Switch sales this month equaled just under 600,000 units, which is impressive for Japan. It's very good. PlayStation 5 sales were about 110,000 units. And as already said, the Xbox Series sales were just under 2,000 units. So looking at this launch line, like comparing Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch has a substantial lead over both Sony and Microsoft's 9th gen consoles launch aligned, and PlayStation 5 also has a substantial lead over the Xbox Series launch aligned. So yeah, that it's kind of disappointing to see the Xbox Series barely like getting off its feet like in Japan, but Microsoft has promised more Japanese exclusives, so we'll see how the Xbox Series will sell. Like we did like based on VG charts, there have been some and also for Mitsu, there have been some jumps with new game releases, but they still aren't charting in the top 30, like what is being hoped for. This comparison is comparing the Xbox One to the Xbox Series launch line in Japan, and this is the only suitable comparison I could see for the Xbox Series in the near future. I was considering comparing the Xbox 360 to the Xbox Series, but based off where it was even initially, the Xbox 360 is in another league. It's like it's ahead. It would be like really far ahead, and like combined with longevity, it's not going to be a worthy comparison unless the Xbox Series steps up its game. So yeah, just comparing to the Xbox One in the last month, the Xbox One grew by 274 units. Currently, the Xbox One leads by about 5,555 units. I think the Xbox Series can out. I think the Xbox Series can outsell the Xbox One at the very least in Japan. But yeah, it's gonna need to step up its game to get anywhere higher. Okay, so that concludes our video. Thank you for watching. Before you leave, please like and subscribe. If you're interested, join the Discord. Also comment what other comparisons the Xbox Series and the Xbox One should be compared to. Also type whether the Xbox Series will outsell the 3DS in Japan 2021. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. Thank you for watching. Bye.